Every day, millions of people step into a small metal box, and without even thinking about it, they turn around and face a mirror. It happens so naturally that almost nobody stops to ask why it's there. But this small detail, tucked into nearly every elevator on Earth, hides a genuinely interesting story about psychology, design, and human comfort. Think about it for a moment. Elevators are one of the strangest inventions we use every day. We willingly step into a sealed box, hanging by cables, and trust it to lift us dozens or hundreds of feet into the air. Yet we barely notice how odd that is. Whatever the mirror does for us, it clearly helps keep us calm. The most obvious answer is that mirrors let people check their appearance. Fixing your hair, straightening a tie, glancing at your outfit before a meeting. This is true, and it may be the oldest reason of all. Otis, the company that pioneered the modern elevator, described its early passenger cabs in the 1870s as richly carpeted, with a large mirror and luxurious sofas around three sides. Elevator historians confirm that these early luxury cabs, built for hotels and department stores, were designed to feel like small, elegant rooms. Mirrors included, decades before anyone was studying crowd psychology. So the simplest explanation, that people just like mirrors, turns out to be one of the most historically accurate ones too. Mirrors weren't the only trick used to make early elevator rides feel more comfortable. Starting in the 1920s and 30s, buildings began piping soft background music into their elevator cars. This became so common that we still call bland instrumental music elevator music today. The popular belief is that this music calmed people who were terrified of riding in a hanging metal box for the first time. Historians who have studied this closely point out that by the time music became common in elevators, the rides themselves were already smooth and quiet. So the more likely explanation isn't fear at all. It's boredom, the same force that may have inspired the mirrors in the first place. Either way, buildings clearly understood something important. An elevator ride feels better when your mind has something to hold on to. There's also a famous story that gets told again and again in psychology and business courses. Tenants in a building complained endlessly about slow elevators. Engineers couldn't find an affordable fix. Then someone suggested the real problem wasn't the wait itself, but the boredom of waiting with nothing to do. Mirrors were installed, and the complaint stopped. It's a great story, and versions of it have circulated since at least the 1960s, though nobody has ever traced it to one confirmed building or date. So it's best enjoyed as a classic parable. The psychology behind it, however, is very real. Researchers who study waiting have long shown that unoccupied time feels longer than occupied time. A wait with nothing to look at drags on in our minds, while the same wait spent doing something, even something as small as glancing at a mirror, feels shorter. This is why waiting rooms have magazines, and why airports place shops near the gates. Give the mind something to do, and the clock in your head slows down. Mirrors fit naturally into this idea, giving passengers something to look at during a short, enclosed ride. Here's something that surprises almost everyone. Inside most elevators built in the United States since the early 1990s, the close door button doesn't actually do anything. When the Americans with Disabilities Act became law, it required elevator doors to stay open long enough for someone using a wheelchair or crutches to get inside safely. To meet that rule, manufacturers simply disconnected the button for regular passengers. It still lights up. It still clicks. It just isn't wired to anything, except for a special key used by maintenance workers and firefighters. Engineers have a name for this: a placebo button. Something that gives you a feeling of control without actually changing anything. In a strange way, it's doing exactly what the mirror does, giving your mind something to focus on, and a small sense of comfort while you wait. Elevators hide another quiet secret, one that has nothing to do with psychology and everything to do with superstition. Step into a high-rise in almost any major city, and there's a good chance the buttons jump straight from 12 to 14. According to Otis Elevator Company's own internal records, as many as 85% of the buildings it serves have no floor officially labeled 13. It isn't a construction mistake. Developers have long believed that some renters and hotel guests feel uneasy about the number, so builders simply remove it from the panel, even though the floor itself is still very much there. The elevator, it turns out, has been quietly managing our fears in more ways than one. There's another reason mirrors have stuck around. Elevators are small and enclosed, and for some passengers, that brings a flicker of discomfort. Mirrors are a classic trick in interior design for making tight spaces feel more open, since reflections create the illusion of extra depth and light. It's a simple visual trick, but a widely used one, and it likely plays a real role in why so many small elevators feel less cramped than they actually are. There's a social layer to this too. In a crowded elevator packed with strangers, there's a natural awkwardness about where to look. Staring at people feels intrusive. Staring at the floor feels tense. A mirror gives everyone a comfortable, neutral place to rest their eyes without directly meeting anyone's gaze. It's a small, quiet solution to an oddly universal problem. Accessibility is where mirrors become more than just a nice touch. Many wheelchair users have pointed out that mirrors genuinely help them see what's behind them, which matters in tight elevators where backing out is easier and safer than turning around. This practical benefit is often highlighted by accessibility advocates, and it's one of the clearest, most useful reasons mirrors belong in elevator design. Some cities have gone even further and written mirrors directly into their building codes, though not for the reason most people would guess. In New York, state law requires a mirror in every self-service elevator in apartment buildings, so that a person can look inside and see whether anyone is already there before stepping in. It's a safety rule, quietly written into law, hiding behind what looks like an ordinary piece of glass. As elevators evolved through the 20th century, gaining faster motors, digital displays, and voice announcements, the mirror never disappeared. It remains one of the most consistent features in elevator design, whether the building is from the 1870s or built last year. That consistency says something on its own. Across more than a century of changing technology, nobody has found a good reason to take it away. So the mirror in an elevator isn't there because of one single dramatic reason. It's a mix of small, practical benefits that built up over generations. A place to check your appearance, a way to make a short wait feel shorter, a way to make a tight space feel a little more open, a way to see who's already inside before you step in, and for many passengers, a genuine tool for safety and independence. The next time you step into an elevator and catch your own reflection, you might see it a little differently. Not just as glass on a wall, but as one of the quietest, longest-running design decisions in the history of modern buildings, still riding along with us, floor after floor.